Hello students, I hope you all safe in your home. I already explained you about how important are dates. Okay, in that I taught you which dates, how do we periodize, what is colonial. Now today I will explain you how do we know. So let's start our topic. Now, how do we know? What sources do historians in writing about the last 250 years of Indian history? So, here we learn about two things. First, administration produce records, and second, survey becomes important. So, we start with administration produce records. One important source in that official records of British administration, the British believed that the act of writing was important. Every instructions, plan, policies, discussions, agreement, investigation had to be clearly written up. Once this was done, things could be properly studied and debated. This conviction produced an administrative culture of memos, notings and reports. Okay, the British also felt that all important documents and letters needed to be clearly preserved. So, for that what they did? They set a room that is called record rooms. See here. Understand? For that, why they set that record rooms? To preserve all the memos, notings and reports. So they set one record rooms. So they set up record rooms attached to all the administrative institutions. Which are that administrative institutions? The village Tehsildar office, the collectorate, the commissioner's office, the law court. Understand? All had their record rooms. And some specialized institutes also there, like archives and museums. Okay, and were also established to preserve important records. Letters and memos that move from one branch to another or one administration to another administration in the early 19th century. And then we study about that notes and reports. Okay, and in the archives, and you can also study all the things which they prepared, official records which they prepared. This is now it is in archive. Okay, in the museum it's stored already. So the institutions and directives that were sent by officials at the top of the provisional administrators. In the early 19th century, these documents were carefully copied out and beautifully written by the calligraphist. Calligraphist means those who specialized in the art of beautiful writing. Okay. And by the middle of 19th century, with the spread of printings, multiple copies of these records were printed and proceeding to each government department. So, in that time, surveys also become important. See, surveys become important. British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administrated. So, by the 19th century, detailed surveys were being carried out to map the entire country. In the villages, revenue survey were conducted. Okay. Topography survey, the soil quality, the flora, the fauna, the cropping patterns and the local histories. Why they do that? Because the British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administrated. So, all the things they did. All all the facts is seen as necessary to know about the administrator and the reason. Okay, from the end of 19th century, census operations were held every 10 years. In that, populations, okay, in that they prepared detailed records of the number of people in the provinces of India, noting information on caste, religions and occupations. There were many other surveys also: botanical survey, zoological survey, archaeological survey, forest survey. They did all this survey. Why they did all this survey? Because they think if we make any kind of administration record rooms, or we need to dominate that peoples in that country, so they believe that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administrated. So, but in that we don't know many things. That time people live and what they ate, we don't know about that. So, what official records do not tell? See here, what official records do not tell? So, see, they tell us in that official records, they tell us what the official thoughts, okay, and what they were interested in and what they wishes to preserve. These records do not always help us to understand what other peoples in the country felt and what laid behind their actions. So for that we need to look elsewhere. When we begin to search for these other sources, we find them in a plenty thought. They are more difficult to get them official records. Okay, we have diaries of the people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important personalities, popular booklets, and that were sold in the local bazaars. As printing spread, newspapers were published and issues are debated in the publicly. Leaders and reformers spread their thoughts and ideas by the writing. Okay, poets and novelists wrote to express their feelings. Understand? So, all these sources, however, we are produced by those who were literate. For this, we will not be able to understand how history was experienced and lived by tribals and their peasants, the workers in the mines, the poor in the street. Getting to know this, their lives is more difficult task. Understand? It's more difficult task. So, how we will understand that how they live, what they ate, and which types of things they used, we don't know about that. So yet this can be done if we make a little bit of effort. When you read this book, you will see how this can be done. So understand, students, about that. Okay, now let some recap. Now in previous we learn how important are dates. In that we learn about fascinated with dates. Okay, and history is related to dates, and it's past with the present, before and after. We also saw the example tea and coffee, newspapers, trains. History was an account of battles and big events and rulers and their policies. Okay, now according to that, which dates? The dates compose our story of the past and focus on a particular events. Like, see the example that Governor General Warren Hastings, first Governor General, and Lord Mountbatten, last Viceroy of our India. Last. Okay. And then afterward, according to dates, we are periodized. How do we periodize? In James Mill, 1817, published a book, A History of British India. According to him, he divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu, Muslim and British. See, Hindu, Muslim and British. And according to Indian history, it's divided into three periods. It's ancient, medieval and modern. Now modern period means it was associated with the growth of all the forces of modernity. But when British were there that time, they said about colonial. So in this chapter we learn one more concept, that is colonial period, associated with domination of British, France and Portuguese, where people did not have equality, freedom and liberty. Now these all the things already happened in our country, but how do we know? We know by administration produced records, official records, letters and memos, administrative institutions, archives and museums. And then they did survey also. So survey become important. Administrate the regions in the villages mostly they did. Okay, census operation. Why they did? They did to know about the religion, caste, okay, and other surveys. In that other surveys, that zoological survey, botanical survey, okay, forest survey they did. Then what official records do not tell? They do not tell about the lived by the tribals and the peasants, the workers in the mines, the poor in the streets, leaders and reformers, pilgrims and travelers, important personalities. Understand? So if we need this all the things, then how we will know? Those who are literate, they will spread their message by printing press, newspapers, but those who are illiterate, then we don't know, because they are not writing about that thoughts. Who are writing? That important personalities, they are writing about the thoughts of the people on that time, how they lived. Okay, so here we finished our chapter. Now next we will learn about geography. First chapter, resources. So take care, be safe, okay, and read the chapter carefully. And if you want to make the notes like that, then copy it in your copy and learn it. Thank you.